Cool. Nice. Still love that opening, Chris. Great job.
Nice, dude.
Welcome, everybody, to Don't Panic with Yariv, Wolok, and that's you. You introduce yourself there.
Yeah, it's
you know your name.
I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, Chris Maher. Should be a fun episode 4. Got some playoffs to talk about. The Phantoms, who had a strong season, and some more stuff that will probably, keep going. But yeah, should be fun.
It's a good way of saying it, with a half-assed enthusiasm there.
Well, I just wasn't expecting it. It was like total curveball.
I know, but it's fun to throw curveballs at you. It's not like we have to be perfect. It doesn't matter. But I'm just saying it's a hilarious enthusiasm because that's how this season feels.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah.
Hey, Chris, I'm hearing an echo for some reason. Do you hear that?
No, I'm not.
All right, I'm not hearing it now. Okay, it doesn't matter. Let's ignore it. Okay. So, all right, cool. People are starting to come in. Chris, you did make a little bit of an outline. We'll probably go way off topic like we always do, but
per usual.
Yeah. Let's start off with and for those joining, please. Oh, thank you so much. Somebody said favorite podcast.
Yeah,
thank you.
That's great. Thank you, David.
Awesome.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, seriously, thank you. Add your Perlo join. Add your questions, add comments. We'll go through that. We have some topics or whatever. We'll go through that.
We always get comments, yeah.
Yeah. The comments are the most fun, honestly.
They are.
Otherwise, we just talking to ourselves like normal. So let's go off the first thing. So the first thing you kind of gave me here. Well, actually, do you want to talk about this first?
It doesn't matter what we talk about first. I kind of just put it all down.
Okay. Let's talk about Hextall's misses in the draft. Then we'll just go.
And then something I've been wanting to.
Okay, then start it off.
Yeah, that's something I've been kind of wanting to talk about. I know there's been a lot of. I'm not gonna single out someone, but like I've seen a lot of it on Twitter where people like always look at like the draft, and they'll be like, well, most of the guys that the Flyers picked that are on the team now, guys like Provorov, Konechny. And obviously you can go down the list, but like all those guys, you always get like the thing. Well, those guys were kind of handed to them. They're like the easy pick, whatever. I'm like, no, they're not.
None of that is ever true.
None of that is easy. Second of all, you're not gonna hit every time. And I know, I put DeBrincat on there for the reason that
we brought up last time too. I believe.
Yeah, right. We have, yeah. But I wanted to get more of an in-depth thing into it because like. They drafted Carter Hart in the same round. Like, you're not going to hit every single time. And regardless, is if they took, obviously the Flyers took LaBerge over to Brinkett, at the time, I think LaBerge was up there as looking as a really good prospect. Just he's battled injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He was he was ranked in the first round, just to add that at one point.
Yeah. So, like, it's not like, again, the Flyers aren't going to hit every time. And I know, and I think the reason I kind of brought this up was because I've been thinking about some younger guys that we could see on the roster next year. And this is kind of where I'm getting at is like a lot of these guys, it takes longer for guys to develop. And I was talking with someone today at my work who I went to grade school with his son. And I've told you about this before. I say grade school. I know most people call it middle school, but I went to grade school with his kid. And he was looked at before the beginning of the season to go like second round in the draft.
I'm laughing at your dad's comment. We'll get to that.
Yeah, I did take a while. He texted me. He was like, "Yo, fuck nuts. Where's the link?" I was like, "Thanks, Dad."
Classic.
Yeah, but that was funny. But anyway, where I was getting at was his kid was projected to go like second round pick in this year's draft and everything. Ended up getting hurt, had some injury problems, and they're not too sure where he stands right now in the draft and stuff. And he was kind of talking about it. He was like, it's tough because it's just one little thing that can change it for some of these guys. You know what I mean? Yep. And it's one instance that can, from your whole life where you play all this hockey and everything, and it's one season that kind of hurt you. But
yeah, and in the LaBerge's case, a lot of people probably don't know that he actually had two different parents die back to back right at during his draft year. I think it was his stepmom and his real mom, something like that. So emotionally, obviously, pretty fragile time. And then he had 2 severe injuries around that time as well.
Was he battling concussion too?
Yeah. One of which was a concussion. And I think the other one was the hip injury when he finally came in. And then coming into the AHL, he had injuries as well. Right. It's just like one hit after next.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at is like you're not going to hit every time, and it takes guys long to develop. I mean, it's not like, if you're drafted at 18 years old, you're going to make the NHL out of camp and everything. I mean, it's very rare to see those guys, and that's why those guys are, some of the younger stars in the league. But I don't know. I just feel like a lot of it is just like I just feel like there's a lot of people out there with the Flyers where they look at it. It's like we never take what we have for granted. You know what I mean? We always have to say, well, why did they do this or why did they do that? We always can't just be happy with what they got. And I think that's kind of what ties into the season too, because they didn't have the best year and everybody's just so pissed off
and everybody snowballs it. And I like, now that we're talking about this topic, one thing I do recommend that everybody does, look at the Flyers draft picks before Hextall showed up, because you did make a note here about Hextall's draft history. It's not very good. If they were drafting outside of the first round, there's a good chance they didn't hit on any of them. So if you look at their recent future now, finding guys like Lazinski and Lindblom, Allison obviously is a higher pick, but we have Noah Cates, right? We have Samuel Ersson later. Zerduk might turn out to be a guy. Mason Millman, Attard. The amount of guys, even Elliot Denoyer, who had a big year this year. Connor McLennan. Ali Lishko's got set. Oh, Wyatt Kalynuk, who's an NHL player right now. Obviously not with us, but we still picked him. Linus Hogberg, who's had a pretty solid career. All of these guys, the Flyers were not capable of doing this back in the day. If you look at the Flyers' old draft picks, oh my God, they missed on almost everything. And it really was like if they didn't pick in the first round, they did not hit. So the program here has increased dramatically over that time span. And one thing I want to add to that as well, and you mentioned the ages, how people don't realize how long it actually takes. If you listen to the most recent Flyers Daily Face-Off, the Jason Martinez podcast, which I recommend to everybody. It's short, and he's always on top of his game, and he has the best interviews because he has the best access, quite frankly. But if you listen to his most recent one with LaPerriere, they ask about Phil Myers in particular, and he goes, they talk about kind of this up and down cycle of development, which is very real. And LaPerriere says something which I don't think most fans really want to hear. But he said most defensemen, he goes, do not peak in the NHL till they're 26, 27 years old. Yeah. Literally, I've been saying that nonstop to people online. Yeah. And they want to attack Phil Myers. And he's like, Phil Myers is 20. Again, this is your coach speaking.
Yeah.
He goes, Phil Myers is 22, 23 years old. He's like, he's going to go in. He's going to have a great offseason. Or at least he believes he's going to have a great offseason. He'll rebound. And again, that age, 26, 27, how old is Ghost? Ghost dealt with injuries. He exploded as a young player, went with up and downs. This is like 90% of players.
Yeah.
At the very least 80. So when you see players that don't do that, it's not really a moment to panic. You know what I'm saying, Chris?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I 100% get what you mean. Like, I don't think it's a thing where it's like you got to trade these guys right away. And that's why it's like, that's why it's so frustrating, because it's like one bad year. It's like everything that these guys do at a young age, if it's good, it doesn't matter if one bad thing happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I think you see that a lot with Hart.
Oh yeah. Well, the Carter Hart thing is like I'm not even interested in that debate.
No, I'm not either. But that's just who I see it with a lot.
Yeah. I've been saying it for a while. I mean, even the goalies that people are excited about, like people are like, oh, Sandstrom and all these other, it's like, guys, they're not even on his level and they're not even here. Like, they're not capable of playing pro hockey. This kid's clearly the best goalie on the team, having a down year, in my opinion. And I don't even know if it's so much a down year, because it's clearly a reflection of the team defense. Like, look at Cam Talbot's numbers this year. You think he would have put up those numbers with us?
Like, Jason Martinez put up a great point. He put up Grice's numbers from when they were with Doug White. He had like an 862 save percentage, or 892. Next year,
Doug White. You're saying?
Who did I say?
White.
Oh, okay, Doug White, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a 892. It went up to a 913 and a 926.
With Trotz. Yeah. And again,
because they don't give up
all the time.
anything.
Well, I talk about that all the time. It's the way the team plays around them. And
like the Flyers last year gave up an average of 23 shots on net a game.
What did we do this year?
It was one of the worst in the league.
I forget. Yeah, it's got to be one of the worst in the league.
I mean, the penalty kill was. I mean, I think goals against they were 31st in the league.
Yeah, I do want to talk about this. I think for most people, I'm sure people play hockey who listen to this podcast without a doubt. Right? Exactly. Everybody's either played hockey or plays hockey. Do you guys know a lazy player on your team who just doesn't have that extra gear to play D? He's usually the worst defensive player on your team. And again, I'm not comparing NHL players to the random guys that you play either foot hockey with, a roller or whatever, to what degree. But being in high peak condition is so important to defense that it's like I can't even stress it enough. And if you look at the way this team played, and this is not an excuse, I want to make it very clear because people think I'm making an excuse. It is a failure on the players for not coming into the season in the best condition they could have been. They obviously were not. We saw hints of it against Montreal and the Islanders in the playoffs, right? We saw them take their foot off the pedal, and we saw the effect of that this year. The only guy we saw who didn't do that was Joel Farabee. And we saw the effects of having a serious offseason. You can jump on Nolan Patrick for not being able to do it. Quite frankly, he didn't have the capability of doing it. He wasn't even allowed.
Also was a year and a half off of the ice.
Exactly. And the amount of lost conditioning and strength is just, you're going to get pummeled.
That's why I paid so close attention to the scrimmages he was in.
Yes, and that's and again, we brought this up last time about you.
Yeah.
If you notice, the media ignored it. They're like, "Oh, it doesn't mean anything." It's literally the only practice the kid had, and then went in. And if you notice, the beginning of the season, he was on fire when he had the endurance, and then as the season got tougher and tougher, and the rest of the team collapsed, he's not going to be able to make up for the shortcomings of the team, which already were tremendously high.
Right. I mean, again, I said this last episode too. His shifts on an average in those scrimmages were 45 to a minute. Yeah, not even.
And I had
not even a minute.
I had somebody jump on me earlier on Twitter, and fairly. And again, nobody was being rude or anything, but he kind of jumped on it. He goes, "Yeah, well, the shifts are short, but the intensity on the shifts." I'm like, "Well, that's the point. He doesn't have it. He doesn't
can't go to
have
that
that
extra
gear.
level.
He can't hit that gear."
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in the NHL, you're going to get your butt kicked. Now, some people go like, "Why didn't he play in the AHL?" And that's a good question.
Yeah.
But I will say this to you: the fact that they didn't send him the AHL shows you that he's way too good for the AHL.
Yeah. He would have done. That's the thing. That's why the scrimmages were like. And again, I don't mean to like toot my own horn, but like the scrimmages were like, you could clearly tell he was the best player on the ice. He just didn't have it as much as some of the other guys. You know what I mean?
It's also in season. Like you notice how AV brushed off the end of the game, the season end, and how like he's like, "Oh, at the end of the season when you're out of it, I don't really count too much on that," because the veterans kind of drop their intensity. It's more like preseason now.
Yeah.
Right. And that is a huge thing. That is a huge thing on the level of intensity. This team did not come prepared. I'm sorry. We're going to hear more about it, and it's very clear to me. You can call it excuses. It's fine with me. I don't care. I'm pissed off about it.
Same.
My whole thing, like you were saying about Barry Trotz, like what do you think are the chances that Barry Trotz's conditioning requirements are much higher than Doug Waite's?
I mean,
guaranteed. They're one of the toughest teams to play in the NHL, and I
think they are the toughest team to play against.
Exactly, and they don't have the most talent. So why does that happen?
30 hits in the first period in their game today. 30. They ended the game with 61. They had 30 in the first 20.
That's why the Flyers look like they don't have a mix. And again, it was a pretty good interview with Lappy, even though he was clearly shopping at Wegmans at the time. So it's really funny to hear that in the background. Jason does a good job of playing humor off of it. But, he said he expects changes. So do I. Chris, wouldn't you say the way you feel right now, like you do not expect the GM to not make any changes in between, right?
There's absolutely no way Fletcher, again, I said this before, like there's no way Fletcher looks at this and is like, I think we'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like it's just like the meme of like the dog sitting in the house and it's on fire. It's like, yeah, this is fine. You know what I mean? That's exactly what it is.
You're
like,
just not.
There's no way.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Like there's no way he just sits there and he's like, oh, we'll be able to get through this. Like he has to do something. And again, the reason we give him credit, and we said this before, is that he didn't panic. He could have done many things after that month of March, right? Yeah. He could have tried to bring the team back to life, tried to make some, crazy move, completely look desperate, whatever. And then AV, the same thing. He could have panicked. I mean,
yeah.
He kept it together. He tried to keep the lines. He was close to. He kind of really geared back.
Yeah. I think it's.
I think they realized it was over at that point.
Well, I think Fletcher probably talked to them behind the scenes because he obviously was very quick to respond to this. I think he told them, "Hey, you're not getting fired. Like, I'm not going to fire you for this season. Yeah. So you don't need to panic. Like, I'm not throwing you under the bus."
And then he was just like, "Oh, okay."
I mean, realistically, it probably lets them relax a little bit,
right? Yeah.
Because I think Fletcher does take it on himself. I think he was like,
that then kind of like give them like a second gear to maybe try some stuff out? You think that's why they did all the lines and stuff?
Yes.
Because at that point it's just like, well, fuck it, we can just go to whatever then.
I think once they realized that they just didn't have the ability to come back because their conditioning, clearly, in my opinion, wasn't there, and I think they probably talked about it in the background. I think they kind of went, "Hey, look, clearly not the year," because they were having conversations to make trades. Like he obviously considered it, but I think he looked at it and went like, "Okay, I have a big off season this off season."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do I do it now or do I wait? Take the hit,
Well, I mean, if his whole thing, which is kind of what we've been saying, was to wait till Seattle, why wouldn't he wait then? You know what I mean?
That was my theory to begin with. People didn't want to hear what I had to say. I mean, actually, I don't want to say.
I saw that.
A lot of people thought it was an interesting thing, but most people didn't really want to buy into it because we had a good team. But I still look at the offseason prior to that. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like he only brought in Gustafsson. Even if we ignore the Niskanen,
he couldn't really do anything though.
I mean, he could have brought in a fourth line center. I say it all the time. That would have helped.
Yeah, he probably could have.
It would have helped this team. They used Bunneman, who by the end of the season didn't see any ice. But again, they were using Raffle as fourth line center. They really did not. They knew they needed a fourth line center. They wanted to play Lawton up in the lineup. And I was actually looking at the lineup. Like, there's no way they can go to next season with the offense they have anyway.
Yeah,
because they have a logjam at forward as it is. Veterans.
Yeah,
and guys like Lindblom, he's not going to be on the fourth line next year, realistically.
No, there's no way.
Right. So what are you gonna keep him there? Are you gonna move G back to center? Probably not. Right. So they're gonna. I still believe JVR is being shopped hard right now.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
I don't want JVR to go after the season, but
I think that's why you do move him. I think it's why you do move him.
Yeah, I know.
Because he becomes movable. It's a large chunk of salary, and we do not need wingers.
Yeah, we
don't.
We have so many guys that just
could use them
to fill the role.
Exactly. We have other guys. Joel Farabee's taking a step, and you could say we shouldn't rely on young guys, but it's a lot easier to rely on young wingers than it is a center or D-man.
Yeah, because the wing position is less.
You can hide.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's why when I see the -30 from Nolan Patrick, and I'll let you comment on this after a second. I keep cutting you off, Chris.
Oh yeah.
But that's why when I see that -30 and people are like, "Oh, he can't play D," he is very good at defense for a young player. His energy levels are very low, and now his confidence is even lower.
You know, now that you said that, after we're done this, I'm making a video on that because I have to talk about it now because this is the one thing that I've been seeing too. The plus minus might be the most overused stat in any sort of hockey because they look at it, right? And you can look at, say, Mark Stone, for example, right? Oh, well, look at his plus minus. He's great. Like tonight on, the Panthers Lightning broadcast. Brian Boucher was bringing. I'm not trying to harp on Boucher, but his point made absolutely no sense. He wanted to harp on Cirelli for his plus minus. I'm thinking to myself, his plus minus probably isn't as important as you think it is.
He's a good player.
Yeah, Cirelli's a great player, and last year was in the Selke consideration. You know what I mean? Like him, Deneau, Couturier, O'Reilly, Bergeron were like the five guys you heard, right? But everybody knew it was Couturier. But and then you always heard like that random guy. I was like, oh, Cirelli. or I don't know. But then,
it's
like,
also a reflection of the team he's on. But
right.
go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, still, it's like I'm thinking to myself, and I looked at my girlfriend. I'm like, his point made absolutely no sense. I'm like, plus minus is the most overused stat in hockey. You could look at it and it could be negative, and you'd be like, oh, that guy sucks. He's really not that bad. It's a reflection of the team. It's a team stat. Like we were talking about this the other night. Look at Eichel. He's been a plus 1 year in his 6 years in the league. He's been a minus. And it wasn't just like a -2. Like he's like a -10, 15. I think the 1 year was a -28.
Yeah. I would love to trade. I'll be honest with you. If he is available, I would trade a lot for him. I really would. I would definitely try to steal him from Buffalo. I mean, I will not trade Sean Couturier for him, but I'm trading.
I think that might be the only thing that.
Absolutely.
Unless the Flyers want to. Well, let me finish.
Look what they got for Ryan O'Reilly. Are you kidding me? You think they're going to get Sean Couturier?
That.
All right, go ahead.
If they don't want to give up like something huge that's like basically tinkers with their whole plan, then I don't know if we'll do it. But like, if it's like I don't want them to get rid of Coots for Eichel. I don't.
That's not even the consideration.
Yeah, and that's
not what it would take to do that trade. Yeah. That's made up on Twitter. No, I'm not saying that you made that up. Look, for that, somebody actually brought it up the other day. They actually threw out something reasonable. It would be expensive, but I think they said Frost, a first, maybe they even said 2 firsts, and Phil Myers. That is a lot. It is a lot.
What I saw was actually very similar. It was Frost, 2 firsts, a second, and I think it was Sanheim.
That's too much.
A little too much, yeah.
That's a little too much. But again, to your point, taking Eichel from them would be expensive. Giving them Couturier means they win that trade. That's not what we'd.
The Flyers look stupid if they do that.
Exactly. Now, what that team would be left with, because they're in a position with a guy who wants to leave, then you throw a slew of assets. Like I'll go over the Ryan O'Reilly again. Eichel's worth more than O'Reilly, but look at what they got: Berglund. They got a first. They got Tage Thompson and what's the other guy's name? Begins with an S, I think. Saboka, thank you. Again, you got 2 bottom 6. You got 2 bottom 6 players. The 1 bottom 6, 1 middle 6, a pretty good prospect, and a first round pick. Yeah. So if you look at the Flyers trying to trade for that, you got to give up a high end prospect, probably 2 first round picks, and probably not Phil Myers, but you'd have to throw in something else to sweeten the deal. Maybe Hag, maybe somebody even a little bit better than Haig, but we don't know. But
does anyone really fit into that?
Braun, yes, but they don't. I mean, yeah, it could be Braun. They might want veteran leadership.
I mean, if you're saying someone better than Hag but worse than Myers, my guess is Braun.
Well, let's not even think worse. Let's think about just trade value.
That's right? What I mean. He's a lesser guy than Myers.
Yeah. But I see like the whole idea of having to move Couturier, that doesn't make any sense for us. That's a trade we wouldn't make. Couturier is a better player than Eichel today.
And the one thing I wanted to
go ahead
too with the Patrick thing was his -30, right? I think I saw more from Patrick defensively than I did offensively at times.
Yes,
and again, I know his shifts were shifts were short. But like it just a lot of the things he did defensively were fine. Like I didn't see really many issues in that. He didn't have many glaring turnovers like most guys had. He seemed like he was in position for most of the time, even though the team was just abysmal, Team D. It felt like I remember my dad's comment.
Yeah,
I feel like most of it was fine. Like he was in position. He made good plays. He had I thought a lot of times Stick was in good position and a couple really nice block shots at times. I remember the one game, I think it was against Washington. He like dove out and blocked a shot from Carlson at the point. You know what I mean? It's just things like that. Like, and people want to say the guy like doesn't try. I'm like, he's clearly trying. It's not the easiest for him because he's dealt with injury for years.
He's just behind. He lost a lot of time. I mean, again, people
just don't put it into consideration because
I agree.
I don't understand it.
But he's 22 years old. Like right now, Isaac Ratcliffe is still struggling in the AHL. Why isn't anybody saying let him walk for nothing? Which is one of the worst things. And again, I don't want to pick on Lance too much, but I don't understand this. And I heard not just Lance, I saw a lot of other people saying this. This idea of just letting Patrick walk.
Yeah.
Like, that is crazy to me.
I know.
I don't even understand. That, in my opinion, shows a personal anger against this kid. Like,
that's what a lot of it is.
It's like, you didn't meet our expectations, so I just want you out of my face.
Right.
And I don't understand. I really don't understand.
That right there sounds like, it sounds like when you
Lance is a smart guy, by the way. I don't want to.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead. Sorry, Chris.
Like it sounds like when like you mess up in school or something, and you're like the teacher's favorite student, and then like they want to see you. You know what I mean? Like they just want you to go away.
Exactly. It's like you're too emotional about the decision.
Yeah.
Like I see people not even writing him in the lineup, and just like, he's coming back, guys.
Yeah.
There's a good. He didn't get a new agent. I understand why people. Yeah, let me.
Everybody blew that out of proportion. Like they thought it was like, oh, he's like an idiot. Like people. I saw someone in this group chat I'm in. I'm not gonna say who it was. That said like.
I leave names out for sure.
Yeah, that said like something that he's trying to get more money. I'm thinking to myself, are you like, do you understand hockey? Like, do you watch the same sport as we all do?
He should have like he made a mistake to sign that 1-year deal. He made less money last year than he did the first 2 years playing in the NHL. And he put up, again, even if that's all he does and he's a 30-point player, it's still worth more than he got.
Honestly, I think it made sense for him to do it, though, because it was just like him betting on himself.
I think it was a mistake. I think it's why his agent got called. Why would he have bet on himself in a year where he didn't have a full offseason? That's his agent made that mistake. Why did Lindblom get a 3-year deal at $3 million and Patrick got? He probably could have leveraged it to a larger contract for 2 years. Chris, he made less money his third year in the league than his first 2 years in the league. I don't know. I don't blame him for firing him. I wouldn't have signed that deal if I was Patrick.
Yeah. Maybe that was the only deal offered.
I mean, it's up to the agent to get you a better deal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to sell your player, and he did not sell Patrick. Which, again, I think, you want to talk about bitterness. I mean, if I was a kid and I put up he put up 30 points twice in the league.
Yeah.
That might not be enough for a second overall pick. I get what people are saying, even though it's fine for a rookie. But it's still enough. Like, look at Lawton. How many points does Lawton put up in the league? How many points did he put up this year, and how much money did he get? Like, I understand production pays. He should have got at least a slight salary bump. Something. Yeah. He made less money. With inflation, it's even less. I don't blame him for firing that guy.
Yeah. What was he on? He was on his ELC, right?
Initially, yes.
And it was $925.
No, I think it was 8 something actually, wasn't it? I think he got high 8.
Then I think he made more because this contract was like $860,000.
No, he made less.
He made less.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I remember that. I remember talking to Colby Cohen about it too.
Oh,
because even if you account for inflation, it's even worse.
Yeah.
He got a smaller number.
Does that take more? Like, does the less contract take more money away?
What do you mean? Ask that again.
Like,
sorry.
Say he gets, say it's 800,000 or it's like 2 million. Does the 800,000 contract take more money away from inflation, or does the 2 million?
So inflation. Think about it this way.
Is it like taxes?
No, it's like
the more
this.
Money they make, the more they take out.
So think about this. Inflation on average is 3%. So if $1 is worth $1 1 year, the next year it's worth 97 cents. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you're getting the same dollar amount for 3 years in a row, you're actually making less money because inflation. And now if anybody pays attention to the U.S. economy, inflation is about to go up, which is bad. That's not a good thing. So that means the U.S. dollar value goes down. So this is a perfect time for him to actually negotiate because otherwise he's gonna get screwed. He's gonna make even less money if he makes the same amount. Mm-hmm. So that's
the flat cap, right?
Yeah, well, I think the cap is gonna go up slightly potentially because of the TV.
I think because of the TV deal, probably.
The TV deal. But look, we harp on Patrick so much because I think it's just a representation of what we're kind of doing to these guys. Like, we're ignoring some players who are struggling and then harping on other ones. The reality is that this team did not come prepared to play this year. And everybody should be upset about it. Everybody should be upset.
It's not one guy's fault.
Right.
It's not going to take one person to change the whole thing.
Yes.
Everybody's going to come together. Oh, yeah.
Anything you want to add there? Maybe we'll go on to the next topic here. Is there anything you wanted to add to, like, I guess we didn't go through like draft picks enough, so maybe we'll
get add a few more in there.
What'd you say?
I think we could add a few more in there because there's some that are like, I just don't understand why people like complain about them at times. It's just so odd.
Well, we let guys off the hook. Like, okay, for instance, Morgan Frost in 22 games in the NHL, right? Let me double check this. I think in 22 games in the NHL, he has 7 points. Okay, he looked good at times. Why is he still such a high-end prospect for everybody? And Nolan Patrick, who made the NHL immediately, is just a throwaway. Let him walk. Why aren't we letting Isaac Ratcliffe walk? Kroos Dumenko lost a year, and Rupta, I'm sure people have completely given up on him.
Oh yeah,
as well.
That was brought up on the other podcast I did the other day. Fired up.
Yeah,
about Rupsov, and we were talking about it. Like, I don't know if he has an NHL future, like with the Flyers. I don't know if he fits in. I think he could, but like, again, yeah. But I mean, he only played 1 game, so I don't know. But like
with the Flyers, you mean?
Yeah. It was early November of 1920.
Yeah, and look, Bobby Brink, he didn't have the same season he had the year before. Why aren't people talking about trading him?
O'Brien.
Why isn't his value?
Did you bring up O'Brien?
I didn't bring up O'Brien, but he had a better year. But again, the year before that, great point. People were like, get rid of O'Brien.
Yeah, I thought Brink had a great World Juniors too.
He did, but
he got underplayed. He should have been playing second line. He played third line, and he had a great tournament. I think he scored 4 goals.
Yeah,
and 7 or 8 points.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Zayd Wisdom had a great year, and like, I know people are going to be down on Emil Andre because he didn't have. All of these guys are going to fluctuate until they get to the NHL.
Emil Andre is 19 years old.
Yeah,
or I think he's
19. And he's undersized. He might be. Yeah, he's probably 19 going on 20, right? He can't be very old. It's just the reality is that a lot of this stuff is going to go up and down.
He's 19.
Okay,
but cool. Yeah, it is like. And Andre's one of those guys where like he's not afraid to pinch, and he's small. Yeah. He'll take a big hit or he'll throw a big hit.
Yeah,
he's not afraid.
And I do think that there is a logjam though, at getting to the point like
you have too many prospects.
We have a ton of prospects here. We have too many guys on wing. Like we have things in our organization where I'm like, okay, after this year now,
we got weapons to move.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way of saying it, Chris. And what would be your number one target? Is it still a top veteran defense for a trade? I want to make that clear, not free agency. Trade. What in your mind is that a defenseman, a top pairing guy, or whatever?
I mean, there's a lot in my mind.
Well, it's spitball some.
I would love. I think Barry would fit. Tyson Barry. Ekman Larson, we've talked about before. Ellis, Ekholm.
Tyson Barry was a guy nobody wanted too, right? A couple years.
I would love Barry.
Why? Because he's right-handed.
He's right-handed. He's mobile. He's a vet. He's
what if
big.
Ghost is still here?
Fit him in.
For where though? He's not going to play with Provorov.
Play Barry with Provorov, and put Ghost.
He wouldn't be able to do that.
Why wouldn't he?
Because he's not good enough.
Come on.
Sanheim would outplay him easily.
Then put.
I like Barry. I'm not pooping on him, but it's the same problem we have with Gossesbear to a degree. It's a talented offensive player, but again,
he's better defensively. And you could get him cheap.
I don't think that's true. He's better defensively.
I think this year he's been better defensively.
Is he going to be better defensively on our team?
I don't know. Are any of the guys that we bring in going to be better defensively on our team?
That is a good question too, man. I just think I think
that's why one player doesn't fix this. It's got to be
absolutely not. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is like that's why in my head, and that's why I said
fix the locker room.
Well, we need it. I mean, it could definitely help for sure. Yeah. I agree with that. I just think there's some good questions here. Maybe we should get some questions soon. Mm-hmm. I just think like if we have all these assets, like let's just go for it. I've been thinking about a ton. Like I said last time, like we gotta
I
make
think
big trades.
literally, I think after July 21st, the Seattle expansion, I think the Flyers are going to do 4 million moves. I'm serious. I think they're just gonna unload.
If it's available,
Yeah.
you know.
Like,
I feel like we're not going to be expecting. I feel like what's going to happen, we're not expecting to some degree.
No,
like we're probably going to be wrong.
No, we're always wrong.
Yeah, I'm cool with
Because
that.
It's so hard
predicting
to
trades. Yeah, predicting trades is like.
And speaking of predicting, Patrick Sharp predicted both overtime winners.
Oh,
he said Paul Mary, and then he said Eriksson Ek. He said both.
That's awesome.
I was like, how did you do that? Like, I could see like
he was the devil.
Yeah, he was like, he said Paul Mary because he scored the first goal of the game. I'm like, all right, I could see that. Not a bad pick. And then he says Eriksson Ek, and 3 minutes into the game, Eriksson Ek scores. I'm like, is this guy's future?
That is pretty amazing. He might be. He's devilishly handsome and looks young, so maybe he's doing time traveling and shit. Who knows? I don't know. All right. What else I want to talk about before we go to questions?
Provorov is on Team Russia for the Worlds.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
He's the only Flyer that's going to go, I think.
I don't think we have another Russian that would do the trick there.
No, I mean for like the other countries too, like Canada, USA.
Oh yeah. Well,
Farabee could, but they already announced their roster. They got Matty Beniers is playing 1C.
Nice.
USA is not deep at all.
Nah. Well, dude, I imagine with how short the off season is, a lot of guys probably just want to take the time off and then get back to training. The Flyers need it really bad. These guys needed a really strong off season. I'm going to keep harping on that. Like what I saw was if you saw big guys getting pushed around, getting beat on the back check, not being in game shape, complaining that they didn't have enough practices, right? These are excuses. I agree with people. They are excuses. And even LePerriere said that in the interview. He's like, I hate using excuses. He's like, he brought up Lake Tahoe also. He's like, but this is what we dealt with. He's like, and that's what I see as our biggest issues. But it's not an excuse. It's more of like, we screwed up. We didn't do it. We didn't do it. We weren't ready for this. And other teams were more prepared, and they made us look bad. They had a better strategy. He actually blamed the coaching staff, which is what I said. They did not adjust well to COVID. They didn't have a game plan. And they
didn't have practice time either, which, isn't their fault, but doesn't help because you're learning on the fly, and you can't do that because you're just losing points. Exactly. That's why their month of March was what it was.
This season was a disaster. Yeah. Do you want to talk about York and Caulfield? I guess that's kind of a build up off my video.
Yeah, and that's kind of another thing that was going off the draft too. Like everybody complains about not taking Caulfield when they literally took Cam York.
Yeah.
I'd argue they're both equally going to be great.
Yeah.
And they're going to be great players for both respective clubs, and they're probably going to be unbelievable players. I mean, I don't want to put too much pressure on them, but I think they're both going to be really good, hopefully, if nothing bad happens with them injury-wise or something. But, everybody's like, oh, they should have took Caulfield, whatever. And people still are like, oh, how do you pass up on a pure goal scorer? I'm like, I don't even know if,
how do you pass up on a top-pairing defenseman?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'd rather have a defenseman than...
He's going to play more minutes.
Yeah, he's more important.
I mean, what I said in that video, if you guys haven't seen it, I have a Gritty Rants video on the Flyers Nitty Gritty page about this topic, is that at the time that the Flyers took York, they had, again, I'm talking about right now, we have plenty of wingers that can, in my opinion, that can score goals. I don't know why people are complaining about goal scoring this year. I get that we weren't
they had 5 guys scored 20 or more goals last year. I'm not worried about guys scoring goals.
Exactly. Thank you, Chris. It's that is not my biggest concern. We couldn't stop goals to save our lives.
No, I didn't care about goals. I mean, the amount of times that they scored a lot this year was a good amount. I mean, they scored very early in this season. They'd have to score 4 or 5 goals a game because they couldn't stop a goal.
And Meltzer actually had a great tweet about G, and I think he led a bunch. I don't remember the players on the list. I know Nicholas Backstrom was one of them, but he pretty much grabbed a bunch of elite players this year, and he's like Claude Giroux had more 5-on-5 points than all these guys this year. He only had 9 power play goals. That is something that has to be resolved. And I saw
9 power play points. He only had 1 power play goal.
I meant points. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
didn't mean to harp on it. I just wanted to.
Okay. Yeah, no, thank you. It's so frustrating because the power play has got to get resolved. Now I see people like jumping on Provorov for not having playmaking skills. All of this stuff is ridiculous. This is why I can't stand these breakdowns. None of these problems will be the same next year. So we're picking stuff apart, but
we hope.
I mean, it won't be. It's a new problem every year. I mean, like, you can literally look at it. You can look at every team. There's a new problem every year.
Mm-hmm. The best. Here it is from Meltzer. It's Claude Giroux didn't have a great power play season. 1 power play goal, 8 power play assists, but posted 32 even strength points, more than Nicholas Backstrom, who had 31, William Nylander, who had 31, Patrice Bergeron, who had 31, Joe Pavelski had 30, Blake Wheeler had 29, David Krejci with 28. Anze Kopitar with 27, Jamie Benn with 26, also DJ Oshie with 26, and then Ovechkin with 25.
What a terrible crop of players that he outplayed.
Yeah, they're garbage.
Yeah, they're all garbage. And again, all better performing teams this year as well, which you gotta add that into that factor. That how many times did players miss the net this year on Claude Giroux? How many passes did he make that guys just couldn't bury?
Yeah, and there was also the ones where they just didn't shoot. And they were in a great spot. They're like reluctant to shoot the puck sometimes.
They honestly were not.
Listen, I understand. Like, I hate saying it, like stuff like that, because like I don't play in the NHL. I don't know what the hell they see on the ice. I don't understand. I've never even laced up the skates to play ice hockey. But like, from like watching the game that long, it's like how the hell do you not shoot that?
It's confidence, man. It's confidence.
Yeah.
You don't believe you're going to score.
Like, their power play used to be so quick. So quick. It was bam, goal. Every single time. Now it's like,
well, maybe
it's like they wait for the other team to give them something, and what they're putting out there is not good.
Practice?
I can't even say practice. It's been the same thing since 1819.
That's my concern, that it's Michel Therrien's system. And
it's not, though. It's the same system from before.
Well,
before Therrien,
I would say since
I give Therrien credit because he changed it. He tried switching it up and clearly it didn't work. But
I don't want to pick on one coach either. I mean,
that's the thing.
It annoys me to do that too.
Before. Remember the setup they had? I brought this up before. I was talking with Bill Meltzer, and they had the setup.
Yeah, you did. Yep.
Yeah, with Giroux in the low corner when they won the draw, and they moved that high and moved it low, and it was a quick shot. It was bam. It was a 9-second power play, and they scored. Mm-hmm. It was quick. It was efficient. It was a quick pass. He won the faceoff. The one thing I always notice is they never win the faceoff. Never. It's like 75% of the time they lose it,
especially for a great faceoff team.
Yeah. They're like top 5 in faceoffs every year. They lose every important one.
I think this year, I don't want to chalk it up as just nothing, but I want to see how they respond on a normal offseason. You're going to get it to some degree.
I want to see this team, this core, and I don't mean 3 players. I mean the whole team going from Fletcher to AV to the team from literally going to like Albe Coupel, like everyone. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking everybody. I want them to play a full 82-game season in a normal, you know what I mean? Because they haven't had it, and they've dealt with COVID and all of that shit since it started.
Yeah, and they didn't do a good job with it.
No.
They didn't do a good job. And honestly, maybe they needed to deal with some adversity to get through this. I want to see a big trade.
You have to lose before you can win. Like, did anyone really think the Flyers would just like – I mean, I shouldn't even say that because I thought they would. But like – I guess we were kind of stupid to think that they would just like, you know, have a whole decade of, you know, just mediocre play and then win a Stanley Cup. Like, wouldn't you think they'd have to have some rough couple years? Like again, we bring up like all the other Cup teams like Tampa from 15 when they lost in the Cup final, and then 16, I think they lost in the second round that year, and then the next 2 years after that, they were both conference final exits. Then they got swept, and then they won the Cup.
Yeah. No, I think the mistake we made is underestimating how young the team was or is. and how much of the loss of the veterans would do to the
because they also
room.
played they played hockey like they'd never lose again.
Yeah.
Like that's what it seemed like. It seemed like if they kept going, like I remember I told you this, like we were literally, I'm looking at the schedule during the 8-game win streak. I'm like, or the 9-game win streak. I'm like, they got games coming up against this team, this
every
team.
team.
I'm like, they can win. Like with the way that they're playing, I'm like, if they play like that, shut
I
down.
agree. I still think they have the talent to beat any team in the NHL.
Yeah.
But if they come in playing the way they did this year and come in with the conditioning level that they had and the attention to detail, they're going to get their butts kicked by any team.
Yeah. And they did.
We saw it. The lower end teams even beat us, but you saw when they turned it on, they would beat the worst teams. Like they beat New Jersey after going down. Like it's not surprising. We're like, you shouldn't have gone down 2-0. What?
3-0 when AV didn't even go into the room.
Yeah, exactly. Again, this is just like that's why I was worried that he lost the room, because it's like that's kind of what it looked like to me. Let's take some questions. We're at the 45-minute mark, and I feel like we haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
Let's take a look here. Let's just go to this one. Players have been killers so far. Bummed we didn't make it, but I'm having fun. Yeah, I mean, best to enjoy the playoffs. It's still good hockey.
It is.
I didn't get to watch much today. I only got to watch the Pens Islanders game, but it was nice to watch them lose in overtime. The Pens. I do not want to see them win a Stanley Cup.
No.
At all.
Yeah, Jittery Jari gave up 3 goals, high glove.
Jittery Jari.
Oh my God. It was great. I'm watching Pajot rip one, and then I see, he's like sitting there like this, and it just squeaks by his head. I'm like, oh, that's great.
That overtime winner is like, can't be the best goal, too.
It's always a shitty goal in overtime.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, man. It's look, but it was an intense game. A 3-3, going in overtime. It's
2 goals in the last 5 minutes of play.
I just don't want to see Jeff Carter win with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I can't watch that.
I don't want to see the Penguins win at all.
I don't want to see them win at all. You're right, but also I just don't want to see Jeff Carter be part of that.
It doesn't matter to me. I wasn't a fan of Carter, so. But I mean, it would suck. But yeah. I don't feel it like you do.
It's a remnant of just a broken. I mean, again, that's our Cup team that we watched fall short. Mm-hmm. Can Florida and Tampa Bay series go 7? Most likely. I mean, can happen.
I think any series can go 7.
Yeah. And Florida's a team that, they recovered big from last year. So remember that, guys. Like, a lot can change. No, seriously, but a lot can change in a year.
No, I was reading this comment.
Oh. Which one?
This one from Amateo.
Oh.
The Jari.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Yeah.
I hope they lose.
Same.
Let's see what else we got here. Any other question?
This one right here. I think Warren gets re-signed.
I personally think yes. Oh, just lost Chris. I bet his internet went down again. I'll take this question since he'll probably need a second here to join. Okay, here we go.
I accidentally hit the At Leaf Studio by accident. My bad.
Hilarious. No worries. So I'll go first, and then you can give your opinion. So Morin, I think for sure. I don't know why they wouldn't re-sign him. He probably wouldn't be very expensive. He's happy here. He's got a great attitude. He brings toughness. He's still in his mid-20s, so he's just going to start hitting, especially with all the time lost. It's a nice investment. I don't know why they wouldn't. If they have a plan to bring in somebody better, at the very least, he can play with the Phantoms. I think it would maybe be his choice if he wants to go try to find another role somewhere. But we know he's happy here. We know they love his personality, and the Flyers are lacking something that he brings. So personally, as a Fletcher, I mean, I'd definitely at least give him a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be much money either. I mean, he wouldn't be very expensive. So my thought is yes. What do you think, Chris?
I don't have much to add to that, but I mean, one thing I guess I could say is that if someone gets hurt, they know they can throw somebody in. They can, he's reliable enough that they can fill someone in. I thought he had some good games at D. For what he showed, and again, yeah. I mean, I agree with everything. Really, isn't much I can add. I think obviously they like him. He's good in the room. Always has a smile on his face. They talk about that all the time, and obviously he's good enough for them to fit in. And
maybe
I think if
7 or 8
can bring him around for league minimum, then it's not going to hurt.
That's what I expect him to get. Maybe a 1-year deal. League minimum, probably not multi-year, but at the very least you could trade him. It's not like a player that if you sign him and you're going to give him a ton of money, And some teams are looking for toughness. He's a tough guy.
Mm-hmm. He's 6'7".
Yeah, and he's just getting started being tough too. Like eventually, he's going to be like a very difficult player to play.
I mean, he already thinks now he's like one of the meanest guys in the league, and that's the confidence you kind of have to have.
I love that. Great point, Chris. Great point. And you really don't hit that till like your mid to late 20s. So he's just got
what 25, 26.
Exactly. So he's really just entering that age.
Yeah.
Okay. Quick question. What was your direct result of circumstance? I guess we kind of talked about this. I guess, I blame the front office for not having a plan B. They didn't have it, in my opinion.
It makes me think if they had it, but then it just dwindled so down that it was just like, screw it.
Well, I think that's why we heard trade rumors, right? I think they were exploring trades, like you're saying.
Yeah, but then the losing just kept coming, and it was just like, wow, there's no point.
And one player, like you said, is not going to resolve this, right? Unfortunately, it wouldn't have been. Now maybe Matt Niskanen staying would have helped for sure.
The culture, helped the on ice play.
Yeah, like maybe we would have snuck into the playoffs, which again would have been nice. But it's all shoulda, woulda, coulda. Just look at how many players struggled this year. Like they did not. I can't say when people
were like, well, if they made the playoffs, they would have lost anyway. Like, dude, you have no idea in the playoffs.
If they would have made the playoffs, it would have been a different team.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have had so many spirals.
Hockey, the NHL playoffs. And hockey in general, playoffs, is literally the only sport you can say you have no idea what's going to happen. Like football is kind of the easy one. Like sometimes, like with like the wild card and stuff, and like the divisional games and all that stuff. But like, and that's the same thing in the regular season. Like you obviously there's a clear favorite. Like you have no idea, and hockey's completely different.
I agree, and not just that, Chris. I mean, we talked about this over and over again. This was the toughest division in hockey, especially physically. If the Flyers did make the playoffs, even as the 4th seed, it means they would have played much better than they did this year, right? If you look, we weren't close. We had 58 points. It required at least 71 points to make it in the playoffs. And the Islanders right now beat the Penguins, who were in first place. So all this stuff really doesn't matter. If they would have made it into the playoffs, they would have been one of the best teams in the league. Even at one of the lower spots, and that means they had a chance to win the Stanley Cup. They did not play that well this year. They didn't, and they got punished because they're in the toughest division in hockey and physically toughest division in hockey. And for a team that showed up unprepared, where your opponents did show up prepared, at least more prepared than you,
they got exposed.
Yes, that's the best way of saying it. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, they got exposed. For what they were was a team unprepared for a COVID season, unprepared for a playoffs, which we saw hints of, and then unprepared for the actual season itself.
Yeah.
It's a shame, man. You would think they would have learned from the playoffs, and I don't feel like the players did, and maybe,
the vets did.
Yeah, but not the younger guys.
No. Because I don't think there was anybody there to kind of tell them, like,
They're kind of off on their own a little bit. And again, it doesn't mean that they were lazy.
I mean, it also doesn't mean that, like, the other guys don't know how to lead. It's just... I mean, again, we don't know what goes on in that locker room, but like, that's just my guess.
Yeah, everything snowballed. Mm-hmm. Everything snowballed this year. All of their weaknesses were exposed. Players didn't. It's just one after the next. Thank God Farabee had the season he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine how much worse it would have been if Farabee didn't play that well. Like, who would have been scoring goals this year? Like, who would have had that second gear on a regular basis? Braun, Giroux. Couturier was hurt at times. Voracek had it at times. Hayes did not have it this year for whatever reason. Maybe it's injuries as well. JVR had it at times. He's a guy who put in the work in the offseason. It was so noticeable. Right? He showed up another year. Everybody's like, whoa, look at JVR. Where the year before, he had a baby. Yeah, Ghost too, who also dealt with injury problems as well.
Yeah. TK didn't look great, but got better.
Look, all the younger guys, they did not show up ready. Almost all of them. Mm-hmm. And the only ones who have like an excuse really are Patrick and Lindblom. Everybody else doesn't have an excuse. Like nobody else has an excuse.
To some people, no one does. But
honestly, I get that though. It's not even that they have an excuse. It's just the reality of the situation. Like I say it all the time. Like it's just the reality of it. Anything else you want to answer here?
This one right here. Which assistant coach can you see the Flyers moving on from this offseason? This is a tough one because, like, I only see one going. It's Terrian, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so either. Go ahead.
I could see it, but I don't think it's happening.
Well, I could see, for me, on a personal bias, I never wanted Terrian to be coach here.
Ever. I liked Terrian. I did. In the beginning, I thought he was – I liked him in Montreal.
I did not. I disliked him in Montreal.
You didn't like
him? He made a lot of excuses. He threw players under the bus. He threw every one of his captains under the bus. He threw Pacioretty under the bus.
I think it's probably why he's better as an assistant coach than as a head coach.
And then he was
with Yo too, right?
Yeah, and then he was replaced immediately with his division rival coach.
Yeah,
Claude Julien.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw that, I was like, And I watched the video, and I shared it with Lance the other day and Jamie, where it's just like him explaining. I might have shared it with you too. It's him explaining to Subban. I'll find it. I'll send it to you later. It's him explaining to Subban what Subban did wrong, and they're like talking in the office. And I was kind of just like, you're just not, in my opinion, you're just not a good communicator.
Yeah.
And when you got young players, I'm like, I don't know if you're going to get your message across, dude. Like when you're just ranting and raving at a TV screen, like it's just not going to work. Again, I get it. It's not a problem with being a hard ass. And again, it's just one footage, you know?
It's one
clip,
but
I remember, yeah, but it was all like, for me, it was all compiling. Having said that though, Chris, I wasn't like get him out of town when we brought him in here. I was a little nervous about it, but that's AV's guy. That's why I think he's not going anywhere. And Yo is Fletcher's guy. So what, are they just going to pick one guy to fire when the entire team struggled? I don't know. Doesn't seem likely.
I don't see it either. I mean, they played like we said it before, like they have like literally 1-game moments where you can fire somebody. Like 8-3, 9-0. Like
the 9-0 game was horrendous. That was embarrassing game.
Yeah.
Truly embarrassing.
And I know it might not mean much, but how many of those games that they lost this year on national television?
Almost all of them, I think, if I remember
Lake
correctly.
Tahoe was one. I know, you don't count it, but whatever. They
didn't have their lineup, but it's still stunk. Yeah.
Pittsburgh early in the year was one, I think.
Yeah.
The Islanders a few times.
I remember every time it happened, I remember getting a text from you going like, and it had to happen on national television.
Yeah, because it was every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, and then you get all those like national tweets. It's like, and I remember like, and then you get like the guys from like Spit and Chicklets tweeting it out. It's just like, dude, I don't want to see the Flyers play shit when these people watch the game.
It sucks.
I hate it.
Here's the thing, though, right? The Flyers are going to go out and make moves. Like, the reality is somebody's getting traded. The Flyers are going to be making moves. They're going to be bringing in talent. They're going to be moving somebody out. Like, it's going to happen. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. When that inevitably happens, and if the Flyers do not rebound and do not play well, now you can start looking at the coaches. Because at that point, they're not going to have many options. You're not blowing up your whole team overnight, and none of these coaches are good enough to stick on to till dear life.
Yeah.
Again, the best coaches get fired all the time. How many times?
If you need it to go, if you need something to happen and it's not, then you
gotta try a new system. Yeah. I don't have the right coach for the right players. Like, and then Fletcher's next, right? And that's just the reality of sports.
Who was the Canadians coach for the power play?
I don't remember.
You don't know
this year? Look it up.
Like when Terrian was head coach.
Oh, I don't remember that. Yeah, keep me honest on that one. I don't know. You have to look it up. But again, it's still the head coach agreeing to run a power play a certain way.
Yeah,
but like maybe the assistant.
Do you think there's any way they go to like the double net front again? Because they did that last year at time during the end of the year and it worked.
I would say it depends on the situation with Nolan Patrick and how well he recovers in the next year. Because he had a big role in the power play his first 2 years, and now not so much. Obviously, this year,
I put Patrick in front of the net if JVR goes.
Well, I think they're shopping JVR. I think it only makes sense to shop JVR
because if they do that, then you keep everything the same. Like say Ghost stays, right?
Yeah.
Actually, no. Say Ghost doesn't stay.
You might.
You put G. You could have G, Jake. I don't even know if Jake stays, but say Jake stays, right?
We don't even know at this point, right?
Right. Say they lose Ghost and JVR, okay, just for shits and giggles. You got G, you got Patrick, you have Konechny, you have Allison, you have Voracek, you have Cam York, you have Sanheim. You could throw at the point. You could throw whoever. But if they were to lose JVR and Gostisbehere, I would run the power play with G in his normal spot, Jake in his normal spot. I'd be York at quarterback. I'd throw Patrick down low, and I'd put Allison in the middle.
But they're not going to put for the top unit.
Yeah.
Odds are it's going to be veterans on the top unit.
Could be Coots.
It should be. It should be veterans on the top. They should not be putting kids on the top power play unit. It's got to be quick execution.
What if it works?
It could, but it's probably not going to.
What if it does?
But it's probably not going to. Because look at the way the kids responded this year.
It worked at the end of the year a little bit.
I mean, if you listen to the coaching staff, they complained about the youth not being able to keep up on the special teams. That was majority of the.
That's more the PK though.
Yeah,
I see that more with the PK.
And you don't think those problems would affect the power play next year?
I mean,
the likelihood that they pull all the veterans off the top power play and replace them with kids is slim. Like York taking over for Provorov or Sanheim, I just don't see it. Even though he is talented enough to run a top power play. But for first year, that's like second unit, what you're talking about, in my mind. Fairby's a guy who I think top unit is probably available to him. Or Patrick, who's been around with the team. Like, there's just too many young guys in one area. Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, where do you put them then? Like, you can only have 5 guys, and you have 2 of them are logged up with J&J. So it's like, what do you
do? To your point, it depends who moves, right?
Yeah.
And it also, we have a logjam at wing. Like, think about all the names. They're all talented enough. Like, I'm not knocking you as far as saying the talent's not there. The talent's there.
No, I think that'd be a great setup. I just don't know if it works.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm being a little pessimistic now about it because we relied so much on young guys this year, and it's just like it does not work. Yeah, they'll definitely try it. They'll try all of these guys on top power play, no doubt about it. Even York. All of it will be tested and should be.
I would rather York than Provorov.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I like Provy. I do. I love Provorov. He's my second favorite player. But like, there's just sometimes where he doesn't look like he can quarterback a power play. And I saw that last year. Like I said it I told you this. I said it last year. I wanted it to be Ghost. I just wanted them to use Ghost.
I mean, you know I agree with that. I thought that Ghost should have never been taken off the top power play. But
they did it 4 games into the season last year.
I honestly hope Ghost does not get taken.
I don't want Ghost to go.
I don't want him to go either, especially now that he's finally recovering. We really need
like him now.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Liked him before, but
we'll see what happens, man. Honestly, like I'm talking shit, but I don't know what's gonna happen.
No,
like I'm telling you that's not gonna happen, but I don't know. I'm freaking guessing. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
my whole thing is just
we don't know this stuff, but it's just like it's fun to talk about.
I hear you. I'm kind of just going off of the coaching staff complaining that they needed more practice for the young guys.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm looking at the power play and I'm looking at who Terrian is and how they're complaining that they're complaining that the young guys need extra practice and the veteran guys get it. You know, like I just can't see them rolling as their top. But then again, what is their top power play unit? Which also drives me nuts. You know, to your point, what is their top power play unit? I would like to see Wayne Simmons back here on the 4th line. That's all I got to say. No, I'm just kidding. But it would be fun to see Simmons back as a enforcer role.
That would be nice. Yeah, I think he could work out on the power play. Honestly, yeah. It's just like throwing him back in. It's like I don't think it would change much.
Yeah.
Why can someone page Joey Mullen? Like, can we find his Facebook and message him?
It's so funny how we always go back to that, Chris. Where is Joey Mullen? Because it's the last time we had a top 5 power play was when Joey Mullen was here.
I remember Jamie like in the playoffs. Where is Joey Mullen?
Joey Mullen, yeah. Dude, killing him. In my opinion on that, I love York, believing the kid who scored over 70 goals. Yeah. I get it, Amadeo, but it's 70 goals at the juniors level. If you look at Pavel Brendel, he scored 70 goals at the juniors level. He was traded for Eric Lindros. Look into his career. Tell me how well it worked out. again, it doesn't mean he's Pavel Bredl. I love Cole Caulfield, but the statistics do not translate from juniors to the upper levels. It is a development game. So we'll see. He's still an awesome prick, and I'd be very excited if we had Cole Caulfield. Like, do not get me wrong. But I'm just kind of more in wait and see mode than,
Oh, yeah, this guy's stats are horrible.
Pavel Bredl.
Oh, my God. He played 3 years in the NHL?
Yeah. Oh, it was a huge dude. You have to understand, this kid was he was traded for Eric Lindros. He was such a high-end pick.
4th overall, 99.
Yeah. And he didn't do
Oh, my God. He put 73 goals, 59 goals, 40 goals.
Didn't do squat.
Yeah, he put up 15 in the AHL.
This is an interesting one.
Oh, my gosh.
I remember when the Flyers traded for Ryan Hartman, and everybody shat on me for being like, that is what you get in a late first-round pick player. I was like, Scott Lawton is a late first-round pick player. Everybody's like, oh, he's not worth anything. Tyler Pitlick's so much better. Hartman's doing great, right?
He's fantastic with Minnesota.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have to stop jumping on players and say they stink because they didn't do well here, or they didn't blow everybody's socks off. The team has to play well for the players to get the most out of them. We do need to make some trades. There will happen, but the team has to play well.
That's why the Wild are such a fun team to watch.
Yeah, which is surprising. They're a young team too. They rebooted. They made some trades.
Coach. They've gotten good goaltending. Their D's played good. Kaprizov has been a total baller. I mean,
obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Farabee.
Guys.
We got Farabee had a pretty monster season.
Yeah.
Blue chip prospect, Joel Farabee. What are you guys gonna do this camp? We have a lot of guys, Mula, Frostbrink. We'll see. Honestly, that's also why I'm like, Flyers need to make a move. There's so many good young players in this team. You gotta bring in a superstar in here. You have so many assets. Do something. Get people excited. We had a really down year. You know what I mean? You can do it. You have picks. You have prospects. Bring a big name in here. This organization has a ton of money.
Do your homework.
What do you mean? Oh, you talk about Fletcher?
Yeah. Do your homework. Yeah. Know what you have and try to get something.
You got to think he's thinking something already. You got to be aggressive. His job's on the line.
I think it's been in the works.
Yeah, I think so too. Since probably pre-trade deadline.
I'd argue the beginning of the season.
Like before they were spiraling, right? Like they were working on something probably.
No,
right?
I mean like the beginning of the year, like January.
Potentially, but why wouldn't they make a trade? Coming into camp or in the off season then? Like, what makes you say that? Let me ask you that. What makes you say that? Right, expansion. So you think he held back for expansion? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
That's how I see it. For a long time.
Yeah, trades take a while. They take a lot longer than people think, especially if there are big players involved. Man, I would love to see Jack Eichel here. That would. No, I'm. Look, if he's really that unhappy there, which he seems that way.
Rich Linen is too.
It seems like all of their players are.
Yeah.
I think they're not going to want to trade him.
I would love Reinhart here.
I would too.
I don't know if he would fit.
He's a player he's a player everybody gave up on before he broke out.
Oh, yeah.
I remember you just saw people like, oh, they're shitting on him all the time.
Yep. It happens all the time, dude.
It happens all the time, man.
All the time. Verana's one. And Verana's a weird one.
Like, we'll see how he does next year.
A lot of people shit on him in Washington. Like the management, it seemed. And then he goes to Detroit and he puts up like 6 goals. He scored more goals than Mantha.
Yeah.
A 4-goal game.
Crazy. I know. It's awesome. That just shows we don't know. I mean, we shit on Pat Maroon. We sent him out of here for no reason, or not for no reason, but we got rid of him for nothing. We got rid of him.
Is it 22?
Yeah, because he was a problem. That was Bobby Clark for you. And then he traded, and I love Bobby Clark, don't get me wrong, but he started losing it at the end. He started calling Lindros a baby. He got rid of Pat Maroon. He got rid of Patrick Sharp for Ryan, for nobody.
Was Sharp more Hitchcock?
Yeah, but it was under Hitchcock, but he did well here. Again, it was a personal problem from what I understand. Mm-hmm. Ownership has to do a better job of that. That's why everybody's like picking on Nolan Patrick. Yeah, I want to see Nolan Patrick just walk and excel on another team. That's going to make everybody feel great here.
Yeah, it's the name of Ghost, dude. Everybody's like, oh, if Ghost goes to Vegas, he'll put up 65 points again.
I mean, even if he puts up 50 points, it's 45 points. It's still a great defenseman for the price.
Yeah.
Hitchcock hated Sharp. If he did, then we should have fired Hitchcock. He's easier to replace. I would have rather had Sharp. Oh, sorry, I don't have the question up here. Amadeo, I honestly, I do not think that's the case. The rumor at the time was that Patrick Sharp slept with Bobby Clark's daughter, which I don't think is true. But these are all made up.
The rumor about Sharp.
These are all made up.
He like slept with like a bunch of women like years in a row. Like it was like one of the ice girls or something. Sharp.
Who cares? Get rid of the ice. No offense, lady, but get rid of the ice girl.
I don't know. It's probably not even true.
The guy was a 70, 80 point player in the league, a top end two-way player. This is what I'm saying is like I don't have any patience for this stuff of like
it's
like in my opinion, you are a leader. Get your goddamn assets in order. I understand toxic players. Like I do get that. Like we saw that this year with Line being swapped for please help me with the name here. Why is his name escaping me? Who Line was traded for?
Dubois,
thank you. We saw that in a case, but again, both those players are going to excel in other places. Like that was a swap for an even thing. Like what we did with Sharp, we threw him away.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm a day over Dubois. We threw him away and just I don't believe in any of that stuff. You hold on to your assets, even if they have a bad attitude. If they're a kid and they're not toxic to your room and they're having some problems, work with them. Work with them. They're kids. You know, they really, really need to be worked with. It's a new
environment.
In today's age, it's extremely important to work with them because a lot of people don't. Like back in the day, you would throw players away. Today, I don't think that should be an option. Bring in a specialist if you have to. I mean it honestly. Bring in a sports psychologist for him if you have to. Well, you don't have the money.
What's his face? McKinnon. Nathan McKinnon.
What is a sports psychologist? Yeah. They all should.
He changed everything. He changed the way he eats. Like all of that stuff.
Dude, that's what I would do. With Nolan Patrick in particular, I would be like at the end of the season, his confidence was an all-time low. Oh, hold on here. This is kind of topical. Oh, here. Perfect. Thank you. Exactly. Like his confidence is an all-time low, right?
Yeah,
Why would you not invest in lifting him back up? What do you have to lose?
Getting rid of him is going to make him worse.
Yeah, it could make him worse. He could also, another team could take him and they'll fix him.
He gets to stop playing hockey.
I mean, that would be up to him. I don't think he's even close to that point.
I don't either, but if he were to get, like...
I don't see him stomping.
No, what I mean is that if they get rid of him, like if he is gone or the Flyers don't sign him, he's a free agent, like he could just be like, fuck it, and never play hockey again if it's that drastic, or if he tries to go to another team. You know what I mean?
I mean, he would be scooped up in a second.
I know.
It's not even a question.
But I mean, like on a personal level, if it was that bad for him.
Sure. I don't think that's the case, but yeah.
I don't either. I'm just saying.
Secretly, if it was, sure. But I don't think we're again, he worked his butt off to get back into the Flyers lineup.
Yes.
And he deserves credit.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap this one up. It's getting late and I gotta work tomorrow. Anything you want to add?
I just wanted to bring up Aaron's comment because we put it up on the screen. We didn't talk about it though.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're fine. He said based on his research, which Aaron does a lot of good stuff on Instagram. You can check him out. It's PhiladelphiaFlyers.hockey. Was better baseball percentage wise in the power play this year than any over the past 5 years. But the point stands. It's sad to see the players we have not produced better PP numbers. Yeah, I agree. I think he does a lot of cool stuff. I know when he says his research, he tracks the game himself. So it's actually amazing how he does it because he does like 4 or 5, 6, sometimes like 8, 9 guys in order to do the whole team at a time. And it's like, I'm like, dude, how do you pay attention to 3 guys at the same time on the ice? I'm like, do you have like 6 eyeballs? Like,
got a future in analytics, bro.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
That's good. Thank you for the correction on that one. And honestly, I think they really need to execute with precision. And I think practice and the off season is huge. Yeah, Aaron, thank you. He says, thank you for the support. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate it. Correcting us on that one. It's not good when we make assumptions that aren't true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing to point out that power play has to get resolved, and that PK obviously without question is disaster. But to go from a very good PK to a complete disastrous one, I'm in wait and see mode there too. Like notice how nobody
guys
really
look like mummies in front of the net.
It was horrendous this year, and again, even Sean Couturier was not a very effective PK specialist, which he's arguably the best in the league outside of Bergeron. So it's like
no one was.
Yeah, this season was just a nightmare on so many levels. Hopefully, change next year. All right, anything else to say, Chris?
No, just don't panic, I guess.
Yeah, I like it. I like that we end with that.
Yeah, I mean, what else will we end with? Not getting gritty with it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like, well, I'll say, remember to always stay gritty. And definitely don't panic.
Yeah.